Hey guys, I'm Matt in the Hat, and today I want to talk to you about 7 issues that I face as an author, and 7 ways I've found to combat these. Now, before we can actually talk about these things, I feel that there's an obligatory rhetorical question that everyone seems to ask me whenever I tell them that I'm an author. You write books? Oxford Dictionary. Author, noun. Writer of a book. So I hope that clears up any confusion there might be. So, to kick off, first issue that I find with writing a book, and this is a major problem for me, time. Writing a book, particularly a longer book, takes a lot of time. 80,000 words don't get written overnight, no matter how late you stay up. I don't care how fast you type. So how do I find time to write my books? A lot of my time, personally, is spent in transit or like traveling from place to place. It's 30 minutes to get from my house to my school. So that's an hour every day that I'm losing, right? So assuming that I'm not the one driving, that's an hour that I can be working on my book, or conceivably anything else. Not making videos, because I doubt you really want a video where I'm just in the car pretending everything's fine and you're just in the background. I digress. You don't have to have 2 hours of your day every day blocked off to write your book. You just have to put those 2 hours in. And whether you need to do that in the car, on the bus, on the train, during passing periods at school, like, whatever works for you and fits into your schedule is the best way to go about it. Secondly, I'm really bad at this. Time management. So this doesn't really apply to me because I'm currently an author as a hobby, as I'm still going to school, but a lot of authors, like, that's their career, which means that they're given 12 months to write their book, and then they have to publish, right? So they have to get it finished in that 12 months, and in order to do that, they have to figure out a way of planning for that, because there is still somewhat of a structure that you have to follow in your schedule, right? It kind of depends, I think, on the way you write, and only you can know that. But let's say you just write all your stuff, and then you go back and edit it, like, a lot, and make a complete makeover of it, you know? Then you might want to give yourself way more time for editing, because that's going to be your, like, important stage, right? Because just getting out whatever you've got is not what you need to focus on. I tend to write a section and then edit everything, and then write a section and then edit everything, which means that I need to plan to write a section in a month, a section in a month, a section in however much time that I think is best and fits into my schedule, with a few months at the very end. If we're going with this 12-month schedule, maybe like write it all in 9 months and then give myself extra time to just make sure everything's all good, just in case I have any major changes that I need to make last minute. Again, that doesn't really apply to me because my time management is more of, I have a New Year's resolution to finish this book at the end of the year. How am I going to do that? The third thing, having a place to work so that you can get your brain on topic, right? And you're not distracted. For me, that doesn't really work because I don't block off my time where I can just go sit in this office or sit in this corner or whatever and write my book for 2 hours. So it's more of a headspace than a physical space, but if you need a physical space to get into that headspace, that's fine too. Everyone's different. My way of getting into that headspace is by reading what I've just read to sort of get myself into that headspace of I'm gonna write now, and also to remind myself what's just happened. Sometimes I actually have to read the entire book, which means that I don't get a whole lot of writing time in, but it does put me in that, okay, this is what happened, now I'm gonna write something. It gets my thoughts going, so then I can really think, like, well, what needs to happen next? where is this conversation going, etc. Conversations are really hard for me, by the way, because I'm really bad at having conversations in real life, so orchestrating them and constructing them so that all of these little micro points that need to be discussed all get covered and it's not ridiculously awkward or like jerky. It's so hard for me. I swear that's like 95% of my time is just, what do I write next? What does he say? What does she think? I don't know. Anyway, moving on. The fourth thing is ideas. How do you get ideas? I don't really have a great answer for this. For me, it's always been like, if you don't have enough output, you need more input. Basically, if I've run out of writing juice, I need to go read something or look at some art or scroll Tumblr for a few hours or something to get my brain back into that creative mode. Because sometimes I actually just do need inspiration. I'm very inspiration driven, which is bad, but it works for me because I can just sort of turn it back on if I get inspired by other people putting out their creative stuff. But you can draw inspiration from anything. Actually, a lot of my ideas literally just come from the shower. I know that's like the biggest cliche ever, but it's true. I've gotten my ideas for like every single one of my books in the shower. And considering I like to feel clean, sometimes I just go and take a shower just to get some ideas. But everyone is different, and unfortunately that's not something I can tell you how to do because what works for me might not work for you. The fifth issue that I face as an author is, once I have those ideas, how do I keep track of them and how do I organize them? That's, again, kind of a personal thing. Everyone has a different system. For me, I like to write everything down, and then once everything's out and I'm not going to forget it, then I put it into an order that makes sense to me or has some sort of chronological basis, or I'm gonna write this scene, then this scene, then this scene, or basically I just have to get it all out first, or I'm gonna forget everything, and then all those good ideas that I just got in the shower, they're completely gone and I'm never gonna get them back. But everyone has a different system. I've seen people have little note cards or sticky notes or all different things. For me, I don't really want to use note cards because that's like a lot of paper, and also my handwriting's horrible, and also I use up a lot of erasers because I make so many mistakes when I handwrite. It's actually an issue. Anyway, the next issue, number 6, organizing your actual writing to make sure that you don't have too much plot and then like a bunch of characterization, so that it's like nicely sliced up into smaller pieces so that you're not having any readers having issues following the plot or forgetting where we were or just being overwhelmed with character so that they can't even remember anything that they just read because they're just like, whoa. Because personally for me, if you give me a lot of character and just like character for like 3 pages, I'm not going to remember any of it. I don't know why this is. I think my brain sort of short circuits at all that information without any context to back it up. For example, in my English class at one point we read Bartleby the Scrivener by Herman Melville, and he went on for like 4 pages about literally 3 people. I had to reread that section and summarize it and highlight things. I had to reread probably 6 times because I can't remember all that. I need some sort of stuff to connect all that information with, some sort of plot, some sort of event that really, oh yeah, he's that guy that does that. I don't know, maybe that's just me. So in order to organize your book, honestly, it's a lot of trial and error and then more trials. I like to just sort of bullet point of like, I'm gonna write this scene, then I'm gonna write this scene, then I'm gonna write this scene. And I can continually change it up as I'm planning, but I like to plan ahead at least like 4 well, considering how much I overwrite, probably that's planning ahead like 30 pages, but like I get a couple scenes in there, you know, and then I go into more detail about the scenes, and then I might switch it around a little bit as I realize I'm focusing too much on one character, or I'm not focusing enough on the character that's having the most character problems or changes or growth or whatever. Again, that's a balance you have to find for yourself. Everyone has a slightly different system and a different setup because not everyone writes the same way, right? So everyone is going to have a slightly different way of organizing their plot and their character growth and everything to, I don't know, like, make it the best. A lot of these issues are very person-to-person based, and so I can't really give you the fix-all, and I can't really claim to give you the fix-all anyway. Lastly, number 7. The king of all issues, at least for me. Motivation. I have so much issue with this because I'll get like an idea and I'll write it down and then I'll be like, I don't want to write this right now. This is hard. I don't want to write this conversation. This is awkward. And then I just kind of don't. And I put it off and I put it off and I write other scenes and I don't write that scene. And honestly, motivation, sometimes it'll come to you and you'll be like, all right, let's go. But most of the time, that's not going to happen. So for me, it's really a matter of willpower. I just have to, like, force myself to do it, if that makes sense. Because if I can just push myself to just, okay, write one more sentence, and after, like, 15 minutes of struggling with that sentence, I'm finally finished, then I'm like, okay, write one more sentence, and I just have to do that repeatedly. And that's really hard. Okay, it's so hard. Sometimes I really can't do that. I still haven't mastered that willpower thing. I don't know if I ever will, but sometimes that's what you have to do. You can't always just go with it and when you feel like it, because life doesn't run like that and your brain doesn't run like that. So I guess the moral here, writing is hard. It's so much work. But in the end, it is worth it because then you'll have this finished manuscript and you'll be able to show it to your friends and people that you don't even know will come up to you and it'll be great, you know? You'll feel really good about it. So even if no one ever sees all the issues and all the stuff that went on behind the scenes, you know. And once you finish, I feel like that knowledge of how much work you've put into it and how successful it is now will be the biggest reward that anyone can have. So that's all for today. I'm sorry I've been gone for like 2 years. Actually, I should have some really big stuff that I've been working on for a really long time with Castiel the Derp up in a while. Like, I don't know. I'm hoping to finish it this week, but I might not because time. Back to number 1 on that list there. So anyway, I'll see you guys next time. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you are an author, why don't you put it in the comments so that I can hear about all your wonderful ideas and maybe buy your books, because I need more books, especially if they're gay. Really tell me if you're writing a gay book, please, please, please. Please. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.